Howdy, homesteaders. It's me again. So, you may have wondered where I've been. Life has been busy, but good, I can tell you what. Part of what I've been doing for the majority of the springtime is milling lumber. I got a new 92cc saw, which you guys may have known, one of the little Chinese clones. Put about 50 tanks through it, man. That thing is a hoss, and she purrs. So, I'll be doing a full review on that 50 tanks later. 50 tanks of blue, I'll call it. Jesus, there's the title. Anyway, so what I'm going to be doing today is an exciting step. I have turned this tree from a standing 100-year-old tree into firewood, cut it into lengths, and then I turned it into slabs. Today, I'm going to be turning into dimensional lumber, and I'm going to be building something with it at a later date. All you really need is three things. One, you need a chalk line. What that's going to allow you to do is to snap a clean and true straight line, which is going to be your first cut. You're going to make that using a chop saw, also known as a handheld circular saw. It's a chop saw, not a chop box. That's a miter box. It's also a miter saw. If you call the thing mounted on a table with the handle that goes up and down a chop saw, you're bastardizing a miter box and a chop saw, or a chop box, excuse me, and a miter saw. Two different verbiages. Anyway, I get off subject. You need the chop saw to make the cut. You need the chalk line to make the first line, clean and true cut. Once you make that, you snap this handy dandy little guide on, and all that guide does is it creates an offset, allows you to, very similar to milling, keep a clean and true edge and cut mirror to that. And so assuming that you had a relatively straight first cut, you should have a successful second and third and fourth cut, and that's what we're doing. I already did one slab to work the kinks out without recording myself, because as we can tell, these all go so smoothly when I do them these little one-take videos of mine. But other than that, I'm going to get up. First thing I'm going to do is snap a chalk line. Then I'm going to make my first cut. And then I'm going to do my mirror cuts after that. And really, there's not going to be a whole lot more of me talking and more just kind of showing you guys what I'm doing. So stand by and enjoy the show. So really, the only trick to making a good first chalk line, you want to be aware, I don't have a good example, the wane on the board, if you imagine a round tree and you take slices from it, you're going to have a round live edge. You want to work with that as much as possible, therefore maximize the amount of lumber you get out of it, but ultimately, that's all you do. So I'll take my bastardized stand here, and you can see it's just a nice clean blue line all the way down the log that I'm now going to cut along. Alright, so that was a chalk line. Couple bucks. You don't have to be anything fancy. I like the metal ones over the plastic ones because they hold up a little bit better. But other than that, 10 bucks. This is cheapest I found on Amazon. It's a DeWalt brand miter bar, miter gauge, whatever you want to call it. Again, less than 10 bucks. Get a good quality saw. That's about where the majority of your money is going to go. So now I'm just going to make the first cut, nice and simple. And actually, I made the mistake again. I snapped the chalk line to my right as I'm going to be looking at it. From this side, that puts me at an awkward angle cutting. So first I'm going to pick the whole slab up and spin it like a propeller. That's going to put that line on the other side and let me just be a little bit more ergonomic with my cut. Other than that, fire up the generator. Let's get this thing cranking. That was our first cut. And that produces a nice little piece of scaff. Being a 100-year-old, spelled less than 2-3 months ago, and been drying for only a couple months, I tell you what. It's a good, decent little piece of wood, and it doesn't weigh much. But anyways, that's the first cut. And then very simply, all I do, you take your gauge, guide, whatever you want to call it, and shimmy it through. I won't bother to try to get close enough to show you, but there are numbers along here. You just correspond that up to the line, and again, I won't bother to show you which line because it varies by manufacturer, but I have already checked and I know which line means what. I've already double checked that the measurements the manufacturer says are what the manufacturer says. And then if you just want to double check, when the saw is unplugged, of course, you just go ahead and run a tape measure from here to your saw. That's 3 inches. And so now, as I run along the slab, this guide here is just going to follow the cut I just made, and I'm just going to be producing 3x2s at a pretty decent clip, so let's rip a couple. That's one 8-foot 3x2. And that is a true 3x2, by the way. None of this nominal bullshit. Two. Not going to show you guys anymore. You get the point. Anyway, that's 3. What's this video at now? 12 minutes. Cut out some bullshit. I'll do the actual time when I put it in the comments. But anyway, call it, I don't know, a minute per 8-foot 2x3. So that's a 2-inch by 3-inch by 8-foot long, true old growth red pine. Like I said, this tree's 100 years old, excuse me. I counted the rings when I felled it. So true old growth. That's a 2x3, so it's a true 2x3 also. That's not, you know, 1 3/4 by 2 3/4. That thing is 2 inches by 3 inches. A minute per cut. I mean, you do the math. How quickly at that rate, at, you know, $450, $500 for the whole mill and chainsaw setup, call it $200 for a good quality chop saw, extension cable, you know, you don't have to be doing this with a generator. Find some kind of power source, but that's besides the point. Anyway, really simple math for building tree stands, deer blinds. Check the code in your area, but let's just say any kind of structures. I mean, this is an economical way. It's quick. Do it smart. I cut it right on the pile. Set the depth gauge on your saw to maybe a 16th or 1/8 inch hangout, so the saw extrudes about 1/8 of an inch below the bottom. Other than that, a couple little tips to any first timers if you're making cuts like this. You'll notice that I stopped as I was progressing forward. I stopped quite a lot and readjusted, fixed the cable. Whether or not I leave the sound in for those fast forwarded bits, I'm not sure. But you'll hear for the most part I left the saw running. That's by design. One, I'm using a generator. They're not quite as clean as far as the power surges go. Chop saws have a very high surge when they first draw power to go. They take a lot of amperage. So trying to eliminate that as much as possible. Less wear on the generator, less wear on the saw. Easier just to keep it going. But whatever you do, you always want to back the saw out of the cut, even 1/8 of an inch, just so that the blades are no longer making contact with the wood. That way, if you do let go and the blades spin to a stop, you don't get kickback. If you just stop and don't get kickback, but you start it back up again, those teeth will catch in the wood and you can get kickback. So whenever you're stopping in any cut, chainsaw, saw, doesn't matter. Always back your workpiece up slightly before you start again. Let's see. Eye protection. It's not actually all that loud, surprisingly. This wood's pretty dry. Cutting green lumber can be a little bit more whiny, so you definitely want some ear protection in. I'm 28 years old. After 4 years in the Marine Corps, I still have very, very good higher pitch hearing capabilities. I try to retain that. I'm a real big sissy when it comes to my ears and my eyes, so I always wear Ear Pro, Eye Pro. Other than that, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to subscribe if you have, or for following, and stay tuned for my review of the Hazel Forma G660 chainsaw and mill and everything like that after 50 tanks. It'll be coming here pretty soon. Watch out for it. 50 tanks of blue. There you go. You have a good one. Thanks for watching, homesteaders. You have a good day.